Hey team, welcome back to another great episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader Podcast. This is your host, Mark Jewell, here solo with you on a thriving Thursday. I hope you're getting after it. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're setting up the week for your upcoming Friday so that you can close it down, or whatever day of the week. We always say around here, Fridays are for closers. So set up your week as you go through the week so that you can close it out strong on Friday, go home and actually enjoy your time off, enjoy some time with the family on the weekend. Be intentional with energy management, not just time management. Today, I'm diving into something called leading versus lagging indicators. Whenever we get a call and somebody needs to have some training for their team for whatever reason, generally they're calling reactively. What do I mean by reactively? They're calling because there's a problem. There's something going on or not going on inside their team or organization or with an individual, and they want it fixed. So they want to buy training to fix the thing. What this framework is designed to do is to help you think about better ways to go about that so that you're solving for the things that lead to the reactiveness as opposed to just solving for the reactiveness itself. Here would be an example. If you've got a salesperson on your team who is not performing at the level that you would like them to. Maybe they're new and they have some skill building and growth ahead of them in order to get up to where they will be a top performer or have the potential to be a top performer inside your organization. Maybe you have somebody who's been around the block for a while. They've been doing this for 20, 25, 30 years, right? They're a good performer. They've been there for a while, but you'd like them to grow by 3% or 4% or 5% year over year, but they don't really want to. Anybody got one of those? Raise your hand. Most of us do. Today, we're diving into ways to solve for those types of problems. Maybe there's something going on inside the organization that just doesn't feel right. Culturally speaking, people are just talking behind each other's backs. There's too much, a little bit backsliding. People not taking projects all the way to completion. People just not finishing things. I know that my wife gets really PO'd every time that I don't finish something in the kitchen after I just got done making my protein smoothie a little while ago. I got distracted by something on my phone. I walked away, and then I get a little feedback saying, "Hey, were you the one making smoothies?" Yes, I was, dear. I will go clean up my mess in the kitchen. Sorry about that. But that's a lagging indicator of something that I could have foreseen. And, a leading indicator of better success with that would have been put down the phone and just finish the thing. Put down the phone, ignore the call, ignore the YouTube video, ignore whatever it was that I got distracted with. I don't even remember at this point, and that was only 15 minutes ago. Put down the phone, finish the job, right? That's the leading indicator. The leading indicator is to not even have the phone in your hand to begin with while you're making the smoothie. Be there, make the smoothie, enjoy the smoothie, have your breakfast, and get on with it, right? The lagging indicator is that I left a mess. And the lagging indicator is that your retention in the organization is not where you'd like it to be. The lagging indicator is that the crop in the field is what it is come October when it's harvest time. The time that we can do something about it is now. It's springtime. Now is when we can do the practices, perform the practices now and throughout the growing season that give that crop the most optimal and hopefully ideal and weather permitting, Lord permitting, that we can have an amazing crop. So that's what we're after here today, guys. I want to talk about this framework that we teach at our Thriving Leader program. It's called leading versus lagging indicators. The purpose is this. Most often people are reacting to what's already happened and therefore it's out of their control. When anytime something is out of our control, it starts to feel really heavy. It starts to feel out of control, right? I think about this every time that my sales pipeline gets a little thin, right? I start reacting. I start feeling like I'm running out of oxygen in the business because now I need to go put new stuff in the pipeline. It takes a while for those things to manifest and turn into deals, right? And so it feels like I don't have control over my revenue anytime the pipeline gets thin. That's a lagging indicator, okay? Most people are focused on those kinds of things. We're waiting until 2 days before the deadline to go talk to the customer. We're waiting until the situation with a coworker blows up so that we can have a story about that person and how they show up and why they should be showing up differently. Yet we had every opportunity at some point in the future to address that more proactively. Okay. So most people are often reacting to what's already happened and leaving it out of their control, leaving them discouraged, disheartened when they don't hit specific targets, when they don't hit specific goals, when they let other people down. By the way, one of my biggest triggers is letting someone down. If it doesn't get done the way I said it was going to, I said I was going to do it, or doesn't get done at the time I said I was going to do it, those are the things that really sort of hit me in the heart, and I feel reactive. So what are the leading indicators in my life that would help me not to do that, to create a better scenario? So what we want to do is we want to redirect people's focus to the leading indicators, the proactive things, the things that are within their control. So we define this in two ways. There's things out of your control and there's things within your control. Out of control is it's done. Nothing you can do to change it. The things within my control today, I can put my phone down. I can just operate and be present and do the things that I'm doing. If I'm making this podcast right now, I'm not scrolling, right? I'm not looking at emails or text messages from customers or coaching clients or anything like that. Like, I'm here for the next 20 minutes making a podcast for you that you're listening to right now. So I'm here, I'm present, right? That's a leading indicator of a lagging result, hopefully a good podcast or hopefully some valuable content that's going to help you to think about leading more intentionally today and in the days to come. You know, when I think about the world that we're living in right now, a lot of us struggle with distraction. We really do. There are so many distractions, whether it's commitments that we've made to customers, commitments that we've made to coworkers, commitments that we've made to family. Man, there's just so many things. I know so many of you guys are just running so hard. You're trying to keep everything together. You're trying to get everything done on time. And then also, you know, be a little bit more present for the family, be there for the ball games and get to the tournaments. And it can be a real challenge, right? So one of the big things that people come to us often for is like time management. They say, Mark, John, like we need to, I need more work-life balance. I need to manage my time better. And really, by the time we get to a point where we need time management, that's actually a lagging indicator. The leading indicator that gets us to whether or not we need time management, usually from a reactive standpoint, is, do you have good energy management? Okay. What's the difference between the two? Well, time management is trying to maximize the number of minutes and hours that you have throughout the day, right? That's time management. Energy management is managing the energy that you have as you go through the day. So are you actually optimizing for energy? In a future episode, I'm going to talk about the law of infusion. We're going to go deeper on the how to with this. But because most people have poor energy management, I'll give you an example. Because people have poor energy management when it comes to how we get up and how we start our day. The vast majority of Americans are using their cell phones as alarm clocks. So when our alarm clock goes off, if we're, you know, most of us are hitting snooze once or twice or three times. I'm sure not you, of course not you, right? But then once we shut off the alarm, a lot of people are rolling straight into email, straight into text message, straight into reactive mode. Okay. So what happens there is our dopamine reward system and all the other things that go off in our brain start working in overtime, maybe as soon as like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, depending on what time of the day you happen to wake up. Your brain is already doing work and doing things reactively. There's no warm-up time. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but we were not created. Like, the creator did not create us to be able to do that very well. So what happens is when you're automatically rolling into reacting to emails, reacting to text messages, et cetera, and that's what you're doing from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and then trying to handle some family stuff in between times, is you're literally burning out the dopamine reward system inside your brain and inside your body, and it leaves you needing more dopamine in order to actually feel motivated to go do things. So when, from an energy management perspective, one thing I'm trying to do more of is in that first, at least the first hour that I'm awake, I'm trying to leave the phone down. I'm just trying to just, by the way, I'm not batting 1,000 on this, but here's what I notice. On the days when I do it, I feel better the whole rest of the day versus the days that I don't do it. It's that simple. I am more productive in the next 13 hours of the day if I just leave my phone down for the first hour. On the days when I don't do it, I notice that around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I start dogging a little bit more. Now, that's already a tough time of the day for most of us because we're generally not eating the right kinds of things for lunch, and we're maybe even skipping lunch, or we're just too high on caffeine or energy drinks or Copenhagen or whatever your vice is in the early parts of the day, that we just start to get tired in the middle parts of the afternoon. And then that kind of kicks in later on in the afternoon or in the evening. Then we feel better. And now it's like, now we want to go do more things. A lot of that can be avoided by what you do first. A leading indicator to lagging success for those of you that struggle to sleep. This one's going to sound weird, but I learned this from Dr. Andrew Huberman, who I believe is at Stanford. He's kind of a health guru out there in the world. A leading indicator of getting a good night's sleep is actually going and watching the sunrise. When you get that early sun, before the sun kind of gets high in the sky, when you still have like that yellowish kind of the yellowish color. Obviously, we're not looking directly at the sun, but we look at the sunlight. We get the sunlight in our eyes. That actually triggers, I think it's somewhere between 14 and 16 hours later. So let's call it, let's say it's at 6 a.m. sunrise. So then 16 hours later, when it's 10 o'clock at night, it's actually triggering. Is that 14? Let's go 12 until 6 o'clock. And then, yeah, so 16, so 4 more hours. At 10 o'clock at night, you would actually be, your body is releasing melatonin. Making sure I got the right M word. Yes, your body's actually releasing melatonin as a result of that early 6 a.m. sunrise viewing. Isn't that wild? Like, and that helps you sleep. So if you're like me, and when your brain gets really busy, you got a lot going on, you're carrying a big load on your shoulders, maybe you tend to wake up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, got to go to the bathroom, and your brain just sits there and spins. I get really, really tired of that. And so these are a couple things that I'm doing to manage energy better. There are different times of the day when you have greater flow for doing certain work. So for me, I know if it's detail stuff where it requires me to sit down at the computer and be a little bit more focused doing admin work and detail work, I need to do that earlier in the day when my testosterone is higher, and later on in the day. Okay, as things start to cycle down, when I'm in the afternoon, it's easier for me, as an example, to sit here and make a podcast. So I'm doing this in the afternoon, midday to afternoon. Okay. If I was wanting to, do certain like sales meetings, for me, like I love to do this like 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning. My brain is super sharp. I have a lot of capacity to be able to hold space for those conversations. Right. But at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm a little bit more tired. I'm a little bit less sharp, and I don't want to be doing deep dive discovery consultative work with a client at that time of the day, if I can help it. Now, every day does not work where you can manufacture that perfectly and do just the perfect things at all the perfect times. But these are all things that lead to energy management. So I will plan certain activities during certain parts of the day so that I can be more optimally functional in those activities during those times of the day. And then I try to fit everything else in around, some of the other times. And then for most days for me, I got to shut it down by about 4:30, go pick up kids. I might handle a couple things in the evenings after supper. But that becomes the day. So just my day starts really early. That's when I'm better. And that way I can justify being done a little bit earlier, still easily getting 10, 12-hour days most of the time when it comes to work. But I incorporate work in amongst a lot of things. What I've noticed also is if it's an office day, I'm home, not traveling, not out delivering, not doing stuff for clients. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if I can, 1:30 in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I might get a walk. I might try to get a little workout in. That gives me a big bunch of wind in my sails for those last 2-3 hours of the day. I feel much better. So that's what I mean about energy management. Energy management is a leading indicator of a lagging result of being more present, being more focused, and having more capacity. We're going to talk about capacity more deeply in an upcoming episode as well. How do we find out what are the leading indicators for the things that you've got going on? It's a really good question. How do we figure out what are my leading indicators? You're listening to this and you say, okay, Mark, what are my leading indicators? Make a quick list, mental list, put it in your iNotes, write it on your computer, jot it down somewhere right now. What are the conversations you find yourself having the most about frustration right now? Okay. What are the things on your mind that you're most frustrated by, that you're talking to your wife about, or you're talking to your boss about, or talking to your coworkers about? These are the things you find yourself complaining about the most. And don't be the person who says, "Oh, I don't complain. No, you're not always happy. You have things to work on." So maybe you're not having this conversation with someone else, but you sure are having it while you're sitting in the tractor or you're driving down the road. You're having a conversation with yourself in your head, uh, with someone else, but they're not actually there, right? What is it that frustrates you? What are the things that come up for you most frequently? Okay. The things that you're frustrated by, that's a lagging indicator. So now let's work the problem backwards and say, okay, here's the thing, here's what I'm experiencing. This is the lagging result. Okay. What got us there? What got us there? And was there something potentially that I could change? When I got into an argument with my coworker, I got really frustrated with the coworker. Was I well rested? Is there a potential that rest would be useful? Um, when I was in the when I got disappointed, okay, when I got disappointed by the customer rejecting me and not saying yes to my thing, did I have other deals in the pipeline, or was I really dependent on that one because I didn't have enough other things going on in my pipeline? So if that's the case, the problem is not the customer. The problem is your pipeline. The problem is your prospecting methods. So what do you need to do to put more deals in your pipeline? I am not a big Grant Cardone fan, but he did say one thing that really shifted business for me back in the early days. And one of the things that he said was that you should always have so much going on in your pipeline that when one deal doesn't close, it just doesn't matter. And I've had big swings up and big swings down with my pipeline over the years, you guys. Every time I lose a deal, when I'm in the valleys of the pipelines, I just don't have that much going on. Those deals hurt way more than the deals that come in, than the deals we don't close when we're going through lots, because when we have lots in the pipeline, we know that we're going to close 30-40% of it. You don't worry as much. But then we get, sometimes, all of us salespeople get lazy at some point, and our pipeline dips down, and then we got to go find it. We got to go make it up. And when you lose a deal, when that's the case, and it's the end of the month, that's a bigger struggle. Or it feels heavier, even though it's no different than any other loss before. One of my leading indicators is texting people. Not asking for appointments, not asking for business, not asking for money, not asking for time, just doing outreach. When I do this about every day, 5 days a week, or Monday through Friday, I text 5 people, something of value. Just send out a little bit of value, little something that's on my mind. Maybe it's a meme, maybe it's a funny video, maybe it's a Bible verse, just something that just resonates. I'm like, hey, man, thought about you, wanted to send this over to you. I'm not asking for anything. Most people don't reply, and I don't worry about it. But what happens is, when I'm in the habit of sending those text messages every day, my pipeline stays full. It's a leading indicator. And by the way, it doesn't really make sense. I'm not asking for business. I'm not asking for appointments. It just I'm texting people because it's the right thing to do. It's a good thing to do. I would love for more people to be outreaching to me, not asking for money, not asking for time. Once in a while, I'll just say, hey, Mark, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hey, here's something I thought of. I saw this and thought of you. And so I try to be the change that I want to see in the world, as Gandhi said, and I share some of these things out with folks. All right, my friends, leading versus lagging indicators. Most of us are stuck in the grind of reactiveness. We're reacting to the problems. So take a look at what you're frustrated by the most. What are the things what are the problems? And just pick one a week, by the way. This is what Elon Musk does. He goes into each one of his businesses and he looks at what's the biggest problem that we can solve this week, and they attack that problem every single week. And so they're attacking 50 to 52 problems every single year. This is why he grows and does so much so quickly. He doesn't let it stack. So take a look around. What are the big problems in your business this week? Pick one. You don't have to fix them all. You're not going to get it all done anyway. Don't worry about it. Pick one. What's one thing? What's one thing you're reacting to? Work that problem backwards and figure out, okay, I can't control what I'm reacting to. What can I control that would lead to the positive outcome that I do want? And then do those things. That's leading versus lagging indicators, my friends. Thanks for tuning in. Survival's dead. It's your time to thrive today. Let's go get it.